trying to go to class, so you are here, standing on the side of the street, while cars are zipping by in the morning. And so students have started to talk to the administration, hey, can we get this street closed? The city said it was the state. The state said it was the city. So just back and forth, back and forth. But at this particular time, like I said, student organizations, students were organizing, taking control of their own space all over the country. Before then, students had been sent off as children to be administered over by other adults as if they were children, even though you could go to war and all of that. Well, several things happened. The civil rights movement produced these organizers, especially out of an organization called Snitch. That's where Stokely Carmichael, Rap Brown, that's where these folk came from. Well, they visited this campus and spoke. It was during the same time that Muhammad Ali was drafted. And he had moved his residence to Houston, so he was drafted in Houston. And so he was over here all the time in this mix. And there were things happening out in the city. There was a situation where a dump in the African-American community, a landfill, and there were these things, holes full of water. We didn't have swimming pools to go to, so some kids was drowned there. There were protests. Students had been hauled to jail. Students at TSU were out there protesting, had gone to jail. So I'm trying to paint a picture of just a lot of stuff going on. In May of '67, May 17th, students had started to vent frustration and hostilities. Somebody put a garbage can down that way, filled it with paper, set it on fire to block traffic, and the police had undercover police officers on campus already. But we also had probably the most reactionary, conservative, racist police chief that the city has ever had. Herman Short, the infamous Herman Short. He decided that he would put a stop to this by dispatching about 300, officially they said 350, may have been more, who got on buses at the police department, had a staging area on, what's that stadium? U of H owns it now. Robertson. It was called Jefferson then, and it was a high school, UH-SDS stadium. That's where all the high school games took place. They gathered over there and double time down this street and literally shot up the dormitory, the men's dormitory back here. Stormed the dormitories, pulled out about 800 students that they put in paddy wagons. They had them out. They arrested guys in their underwear. That's what they had on. They had them laying out in rows out there, and they had dogs and all of that. And but tragically, a police officer, I see that we've attracted the security forces. I guess they want to know what in the world. Anyway, that's kind of a natural reaction all the time when people in the park get nervous when they see people out. Hey, this is the place for students. Hey, yeah, you could be students. But anyway, this building has been redone. So I'm trying to go on memory. There was an area up there, a landscaped area we called the pit. It was lower, and step shows and all that kind of stuff were going out there. But anyway, this young police officer was there probably around the corner of this building, and he got a ricochet bullet, and it killed him. The authorities charged 5 students with murder. We call them the TSU 5. That's when I came in, because like I said, I was in the military, just got out of the military, and I joined up at that time when they were forming the support committee for what we call the TSU 5. 2 of the students, Douglas Wayne Waller, Floyd Nichols, Charles Freeman, Troswell Franklin, and John Parker. 2 of them were locked up in jail when this happened. They were in jail. But they were charged with, under a law called transferred intent, that if you responsible when you do something or you cause something and somebody gets hurt. But by the time the one went to trial, they had reduced it to something else. But the only one to go to trial was Charles Freeman, and I'm going to mention something about him in a moment. Charles Freeman went to trial about nearly a year later on a change of venue in Victoria, Texas. They took it to Victoria because they figured they could get a favorable jury, but it backfired because Victoria is a very small place. We went down there, we chartered 2 buses, and I don't know how many cars, and went down there to show off support. And it literally kind of scared those people to death. They hadn't seen all that before, and they just wanted that stuff out of that town. So it was a hung jury. And then the DA tried the case personally, Carol Vance, personally. Something that DAs never do. Assistant DAs try cases. He tried it personally. He cried in his summation. I never will forget it. But anyway, it didn't work. And but Charles Freeman, I don't know how long you've been in Houston, but if you've been there a while, I know you have. You used to see him sometime on TV. This attorney, he's a Muslim, and had the beard, and he'd take these controversial cases. With Charles Freeman, who was the only one of the TSU 5, I'm giving you history that students, there have been graduation classes after graduation classes at this university, and none of those people knew anything I'm talking about. I was in Austin this weekend with the TSU debate team, world-renowned debate team, and I polled those students, how many of you have ever heard that the police came under? None of them have heard. The administration, I guess, is so ashamed of that little part of the history, and when they do recruiting, they don't tell folk about that. But anyway, so you're getting history that most folk that go to TSU never know. Charles Freeman, the only one who went to trial, was the first African-American male student accepted at Rice University to live on campus. The first, because the man who left the land for Edgar Marsh Rice put in his will that the school was for whites only, that no black would ever go there. They actually had to go to court to turn that around for black students to go to Rice. This was in about 66 or 65. He was the first African-American male student. The first student was a female. He was the first to go to school at Rice and actually live on campus. After 1 year, he transferred to TSU. So that's how he became one of the TSU 5. One other point. He's deceased now. He died about 5 or 6 years ago of cancer. He was the attorney for the only 9/11 hijacker, Moussaoui, Zachariah Moussaoui from Morocco. I don't know how his mother heard about Freeman, because Moussaoui was locked up in D.C. And he became his attorney, going back and forth, advising him until the federal government had to sign off on an attorney for Moussaoui that they had to pay. And they refused him as the attorney. So at that time, he ceased to be the attorney. But he was the only attorney of any record for Moussaoui, the only person to go to trial in 9/11. So, it's a weaving of a lot of history. But this is where it happened. Unfortunately, that officer was killed as a result of the decision by his boss to send police to this campus to deal with students who were doing what students do a lot of times. And many of you have heard of Kent State, as I have in Kent, Ohio. But the police went Southern University in Baton Rouge, killed 3 students. Went to Jackson State and killed students. And they also went to University of South Carolina, in Orangeburg, South Carolina, South Carolina AT&T or something, and killed about 5 students. They were demonstrating, trying to open go into a bowling thing. Research some of this. But anyway, everybody knows about Kent State, but nobody knows about these things that happen on black campuses where police overreacted to